Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to Coffee Talk! So today, we're talking about the discovery of a century. We finally know what's under the pyramids. Dun dun dun! Gosh, I never even wondered what was under the pyramids, but somebody did, and now we know. So, unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, you might have heard about this great scientific discovery where they use a new kind of technology to look under the pyramids and create images of what's under there. And what did they find? Well, you'll find out that and a whole lot more. We'll talk about the mythology of Egypt and the mysteries of Atlantis and the technology of Tesla. We'll cover it all in this video today. But before we get started, I want to thank all of you who support this channel financially. This channel is supported exclusively by viewers like you. You'll see no advertisement or promotions on this channel. And God told me to set it up this way. And we've been doing this for right at 3 years now. And I want to thank all of you who give to the channel to support my miserly little frugal lifestyle in my cabin in the woods that buys me the time I need to make these kind of videos for you. So if you enjoy the content of this channel, please consider being a financial contributor through the links in the description below to Cash App and PayPal and to my post office box so we can keep the lights on here and keep the videos coming your way. So apparently, a team of scientists, along with some people who are experts in folklore, combined their efforts to discover what is underneath the pyramid or pyramids in the Giza plateau. And, you know, one of the main theories amongst those of us who try to figure out what happened before the flood, one of the theories is the pyramids are generators, electrical generators. And I've seen a lot of theories played out. You know, they downsized the pyramids with all of the internal structure and they put lemon juice in there and copper rods and try to turn it into a battery or a generator. And, you know, Tesla looked into this very same thing and he believed that the earth itself had some kind of power source at its core that you could tap into, and that this could be transmitted through the air, through a tower, kind of like the top of a pyramid, through a high tower, to create a worldwide web of electrical energy that could be tapped into wirelessly by devices that could run everything from your vehicles to your airplanes to your technology, your electricity for your home. All of that could come from this web. And Tesla, the 19th and 20th century scientist, was on the verge of proving and perfecting this technology when he lost his funding. And the way he lost his funding, he was being funded at the time by J.P. Morgan, the famous American industrialist. And he explained what he uncovered, that he believed we could create this electrical web that encompassed the entire planet. J.P. Morgan thought like a rich man and went, but where do you put the meter? How do you charge for the electricity? And Tesla's like, well, it would be free. J.P. Morgan shut him down that day, pulled his funding. He's not paying for something to give free electricity. He needs to make money from a prospect, right? There's no money in free energy. And so Tesla's believed to have uncovered the science behind the pyramids and the idea that they are an electrical generator. My problem with that theory in particular, is that when you dig into the mechanics of it, there's just not enough going on inside the pyramid. The pyramid alone couldn't really contain this kind of technology, that there must be something more to it. It's clearly not what they claim it is. It's not a tomb. There were no mummies ever found there. There's no hieroglyphs inside of the pyramid like there is in other Egyptian sites that are supposed to date from the same time. And I think the theory of how the pyramids were made that is put forth in modern archaeology, that, you know, Bronze Age people made this immense structure out of hand tools, has been proven to be ridiculously and possibly false. And you know, I heard one person put it this way, that if those were made with hand tools, then they would still be working on them to this day. And next to the half finished pyramid would be a pile of broken and used up chisels that is bigger than the pyramid itself. And no such tools or byproducts of that process have been found in the archaeological record. And I believe that most people, other than those who have their head firmly stuck in the sand, clinging to 150-year-old ideas that have clearly are easily disproved, other than those cats, most people believe that either aliens visited here and built the pyramids, or the pyramids are the final remnants of a very ancient, advanced civilization, one known commonly by the name Atlantis. Don't, don't. Ah, Patrick Duffy was awesome in The Man from Atlantis. But the belief that the pyramids and other megalithic structural cities like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, and Machu Picchu in Peru, that these structures, that the stonework is something that even today, with our advanced technology, we could not easily or even at all reproduce. And there's lots of images on the internet of human machines trying to move blocks of sandstone and granite, the size of the blocks that these megalithic structures are made out of, and we simply cannot do it. It's fly season. Go away, fly. He likes to get right on the microphone and buzz at you. He's just saying hello. So our most powerful cranes and earth movers can't move blocks of that size to this day. So the idea that they did it with manpower, with you know, ropes, woven ropes, right, and sticks and water is it's ludicrous. I'm sorry, y'all need to go back to the drawing board and refigure that. And I think what's under the pyramid proves that beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there's no way they built this. This is clearly evidence of either ancient aliens or the the advanced pre-flood civilization known as Atlantis. And the fact that these very similar structures made similarly the same way are all over the world. Right, they're not just in Egypt, they're in Turkey, they're in Peru. We found some off the coast of Japan. And there is this whole thing about Antarctica being the home of many of these pyramids and temples and structures. There's evidence of an ancient civilization that existed before the flood. So I want to offer to you my theory on the ancient civilization, who they were, what happened to them, and what are these remnants? What is the pyramid? And I do believe that the pyramid is in fact a generator, because they have found structures under the pyramid. Now I'm going to talk about what they found, that go down 2 kilometers. And for my American viewers, that's 1.25 miles below the pyramid are these structures. If you start at the pyramid and then go all the way to the bottom, you have two huge cubic enclosures underneath the Giza plateau. And then you have, under one particular pyramid, 8 tubes that connect the bottom of the pyramid all the way down to the substructure. And these tubes are wrapped in what is either a coil, it could be a metal coil, or it could be a staircase to get you down. And I don't believe it's a staircase. I believe it's probably a Tesla coil. I mean, when you look at the big potentially holding tanks underneath, and then the structure of the tubes, the coils going around each tube, it looks like a Tesla coil. It looks like an earth energy generator, right, that terminates into a point at the top of the pyramid, which the cap of the pyramid was originally copper, which is a conductor. So this was definitely, in my opinion, in the light of this new discovery, was in fact proof that this was a generator. Now, in a previous video, I talked about Thoth and and the emerald tablets, and how I believe that Enoch from the book of Enoch and the Bible is actually this Egyptian character who is the author of the emerald tablets. And in that story, in that little side subject, the purpose of the pyramids was to house the history of this civilization, this ancient civilization, the history, the technology, the concepts, their life, all of that was held in a hall of records. And at least one of the scientists on this team was looking for this hall of records. That's why he wanted to see under the pyramids to begin with. And one of the first things that you run into when you start to talk about this new discovery is that there are people that specialize in this, SAR technology, this satellite imagery technology that can look into stone and look inside of a mountain. They say there's no way that technology is capable of looking down, 2 kilometers deep into the bedrock. And so the first thing that I wanted to do in researching for this video was to look into that. And I think it's because the people who specialize in this technology that are trying to debunk it don't understand how they used it and combined it with some other technology to create this image that's floating around the internet now of these 8 tubes coming down from this pyramid into these 2 huge block structures. And not only that, there's other chambers that start to look very much like housing. It starts to look like underground homes. So from here on out in the video, I'm going to give you my theory on that includes what those megalithic structures really were, what pyramids in particular are, why you find them under the water, why you find them under the ice in Antarctica, why they're all over the world, who these people were, and kind of tie it all in from a number of sources. So this is going to be from the science, right? It's also going to be based on the Bible, the book of Enoch, the emerald tablets, the stories told by Plato, Egyptian folklore, and even Native American mythology. And they all kind of tell the same picture. There was a great calamity. The Bible calls it a flood. It's known as the Great Deluge. And the Bible says that the fountains of the deep broke open and water came not just from the canopy of humidity that encased the earth that protected us from ultraviolet rays, but also the fountains of the deep, the underground rivers exploded onto the surface, causing a massive calamity that wiped out everything on the earth. Now, the Bible tells us there were only a handful of survivors who survived on an ark. But I have a problem with that because that doesn't explain how the giants survived the flood. How is it by the time of Moses' life, they come to the Holy Land, the Promised Land, and they find it already occupied by giants who the writers of the Bible say that the scouts felt like grasshoppers in their shadow, in the sight of these giant people. And then you have the story of David, who kills a nearly 10-foot tall giant by the name of Goliath. And then you find peppered throughout the Old Testament stories of these kings who were huge, that were men of renown, right? They were giants and powerful. And so one possibility is that obviously either there were 2 visitations. That's one way to explain why the giants show up again later in the Bible after the flood, why they were there before the flood and then also there after the flood, was that there was another visitation of the sons of God who came down to see the daughters of men. They did it again. But there's nothing in the Bible or the mythology to suggest such a thing. But there is a lot in the mythology to suggest that Noah and his family weren't the only ones to survive the Great Deluge, that some humans survived with the help of the giants, and a fair number of the Nephilim survived, right? Now, so what if this technology they've uncovered at the Great Pyramid that goes down 1.25 miles below the earth? What if that was also a disaster shelter? It could have originally been built and used and operated as a power generating station. But those same underground installations might be how the giants survived the flood. Don't, don't, don't. The Native American, certain Native American tribes tell a story of being warned by these technologically advanced or even magic entities who came and warned them this flood was coming. And then they took them underground and they lived there for a very long time until the earth regenerated. And then they let them out and they came out from under the ground. And that's who that the Native Americans say they've descended from, were the survivors of this deluge who survived it by hiding underground. Don't, don't, don't. Uh, so I would say that Atlantis was essentially a surface civilization of advanced technology and potentially what you would call magic or supernatural power. And uh, the sons of God that looked down upon the daughters of men, the fallen angels, crossbred with humans, created the Nephilim, the men of renown, the giants, and that this Atlantis or pre-Diluvian civilization lasted for a very long time. We don't really know how long it was here. And one could even argue that this is a repeating cycle, that civilizations grow up and then are destroyed by calamity, and they grow up again and are destroyed by calamity. And this has been going on since the beginning of time. Uh, the universe is ancient. Who knows how many layers of civilization have existed on this earth prior to our biblical history, right? This is could be a repeating pattern. And so this consisted of the capital city of Atlantis and other cities all around the globe where these pyramids were built, where these megalithic structures were built. And you kind of got to ask yourself, how did they do it? Like, how'd they move these big blocks? If we still can't do it to this day, how did the pre-diluvian Atlantean society do it? And one myth seems to suggest that it was through telekinesis. Right? What is telekinesis? The ability to move things with your mind, but combined with technology. So, in one ancient tale, they claim that these megalithic structures like Stonehenge and Machu Picchu were made by one of these giants who had a handheld device that he would point at the rocks and pick them up and use levitation to move them and set them down in perfect positioning, in total precise computer perfect alignment, so that they didn't even need mortar, right? They just match perfectly and they mate to one another. And in one telling of this from ancient mythology, then another tool is used to heat the rocks up to melting point and fuse them together. And that's why they fit so perfectly. They're actually fused. And some of these places, like Machu Picchu, when you look at the stones, they look so smooth. They look melted. They look like you built a building out of Legos made from chocolate and then hit them with a little bit of heat and melted the chocolate together. And but I think you start to understand when you combine all of the different mythologies that it was more than likely audio waves, that their technology was built on harmonic and vibrational power, and that even the generators, right, that created this web of electricity around the earth, even those were built and based on the harmonics of the rock. That we know, because if you've ever had a quartz watch, you have a rock powered watch, that your watch is powered by this vibrating crystal. And so this technology was based in harnessing and finding the harmonic resonance of certain types of stone to pull this electromagnetic vibrational power out of the earth, turn it into some kind of usable form, and then transmit it around the globe. And you start to run into the ancient mythologies of India, where they've got these Vermana, these flying machines, and you've got stories from Greek mythology, like Mercury and Apollo, and they can fly through the air and cross the world in moments. And all of this is more than likely based in this power network, that they had some kind of device that simply tapped into the free energy that's floating in the air. And they were able to do these great feats, travel great distances, move huge stones, quarry them from dozens, if not hundreds of miles away, transport them and place them all through some kind of sonic technology. Don't, don't, don't. And I think what you have here is kind of a combination of technology and supernatural power. And I can actually really relate to that as a musician, since, music is vibration, right? Musicians come and we create a vibe for the room, right? That one of the most empowering things for me as a young musician was the realization that I could use a piano to make people feel things. I I can't convince people of nothing, but I can play the piano and make you have an emotional response. I can make you angry, agitated. I can make you feel loving and empathetic. I can make you weep in joy or in sadness through music. And I do this by combining a supernatural ability that the world has called muse, right? It's my own ability to tap into the supernatural um, connection that makes all of us connected. And then I use a electrical nowadays, and originally it was mechanical, now it's mechanical device to emit an emotion in you. And that this kind of vibrational manipulation has existed and could be used for industrial applications, transportation, heating, lighting, construction, right? That by tapping into the spiritual aspect and combining it with technology, you can create something powerful. And I believe this is the basis for the civilization that existed prior to the flood. And they built all of these structures. And I do believe that there is a hall of records that will eventually be found either underneath the Sphinx or underneath one of the pyramids. And that this group that just made this scientific discovery, this technologically advanced discovery of what's under the pyramids, that's what they were looking for. They were looking for ancient knowledge. How transformative or potentially destructive could it be for us to locate and translate the instruction manual to and the history of this pre-diluvian, pre-flood world? It would instantly put us um, eons ahead of where we're at in both technology and spiritual understanding. And it could be great and enlightening, or it could be the thing that threatens to destroy the whole planet, right? Um, if you follow the book of Enoch, it's a Texas thing. If you look through that book, the storyline is God, the ultimate ruler, was not happy with the changes brought by the visitors to the planet Earth. The physical changes, the changes in God's creation, the changes in humanity, that he saw it as a corruption. And this potentially earth ending corruption is hiding, I believe, under one of these megalithic structures or all of them in a hall of records. And just to give you an idea, did you know there's a hall of records behind Mount Rushmore? The behind one of the faces inside the ear is a room. And in that room is the story of America with some iconic um, and um, very protected documents. There's documents, original documents from the founding of this country that are in that hall of records inside, I think it's Washington's head, right? that the founder, the creator of that imagery, he wanted to put that in there. And I believe he based that on this mythology that somewhere in these monolithic structures is a hall of records. And I think that information, although fascinating, and I would finally get the answers to all of my questions about what happened before the flood, and who were those people, the men of renown, and why did God see fit or necessary to destroy them. And I would get all those answers, but at the same time, the secrets held in there are the very thing that caused God to destroy this earth to begin with. What do you think? Did they find something under there? Was that both a underground power station, right, with just the top of it sticking out, which we know is the pyramid, um, or was that an underground city, which is what some are claiming, that this is actually an underground immense city under the Giza plateau, and or was it a generator that they used as a fallout shelter to survive the flood? And that's why when the children of Israel went to the promised land, they found it already inhabited by giants that somehow survived the flood. Tell me what you think in the comments section. Have you heard this story? What do you think about it? What's your speculation? And what is the next round of research going to show? You know, we have the ability today to tunnel that far down, no problem. The deepest gold mine in the world is in South Africa, and it's almost twice as deep as these structures under the pyramids. It's closer to 2.5 miles deep. So we know if the Egyptians, who are protecting their theory on their 150-year-old theory on the pyramids, they're protecting it for national pride, right? If they would let us, we could easily tunnel down and over, no problem. It would take a few years to accomplish if they would let us do it, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't think they're going to let us tunnel down and really see and explore these underground structures so we could potentially find the Hall of Records. I don't know. Some things are best left buried. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comment section, and we'll see you next time on Coffee Talk.